Hi friends, so it has been a hot few weeks. First of all, for those of you who are new to the channel, hello. It's gonna be a little weird because you might be a bit confused because this channel is called Bean Sprout Reactions, and yet the interest is Brianna C Reacts. Well, there's a good reason for that. My original channel, Brianna C Reacts, received 3 copyright strikes, all from Warner Media, in less than 24 hours. Probably less than 18. No, not more than, but more than 12. Anyway, less than 24 hours. And unsurprisingly, they don't at all care, nor will they ever reply to an email saying, please, I will delete the video, please remove the strikes. They don't care, especially about a channel that at the time had less than 6,000 subscribers. I think it was almost at 5,900. Again, very small channel. So I've had to restart. Eventually I'll get a new intro, but right now this is what it is. But anyway, in terms of, thankfully, I am very OCD in some ways, and I have a slight computer's IT background, so I pretty much saved almost all my videos, and all the videos that got destroyed or got accidentally deleted on my laptop, but were still either blocked or privatized on YouTube. I ended up copying them all or downloading them. I think I could have downloaded them, but I ended up screen recording them all. So I'm going to figure out what to do with the old live action stuff. And I kind of know what to do with the old anime stuff. But the point is, it's a learning curve. Yeah, so anime actually is going to be easy. I'm going to be reposting a lot of my old stuff, especially the reactions that are typical to what I've done. And it's going to be interesting because one anime that I never got copyright claimed on, but it kind of has an old school design in terms of reaction editing, is not Hibiki Euphonium, is Dumbbell non Hiro Mantello, or How Many Dumbbells Can You Lift? So that one's gonna be interesting, but I am slowly reposting all of my old stuff onto this channel. And the weird part is because most of all the copyright strikes happen because of live action stuff, I have to revamp how I do my live action stuff. So right now, anime is going to be continuing on like normal, how I did on my old channel. Of course, if you're on my Patreon, you get everything early, about a week early. So definitely go check that out if you're interested in supporting me. There's 3 tiers, so choose whichever one floats your boat. But slowly I'll be starting kind of reposting all of my old stuff in addition to like newer reactions. Kind of what shows I want to do next. It might shift because now I can have voting rights and stuff like that. Also, the problem is because it's the new channel, I have no community section yet as of the recording of this video. So it's going to take a while. So I can't really do any announcements or do any polls. So all of it's going to really be kind of what I had pre-planned. And basically I'll ask comment sections. And then, of course, when it comes to people who support me on Patreon, they do get, their vote has more weight to it. It is what it is. But right now, My Hero Monday and Mob Psycho Monday, and then Anime Thursday, which is right now Hibiki Euphonium, is going to continue on like normal. So thankfully, that's not really going to shift. It's just a live action stuff that's going to majorly shift. I got to figure out what to do. There's a lot of stuff going on in my family right now, so that has to be my priority. So there's a lot of things happening. I just wanted to let you all know that. In terms of the show, we're really finally getting to the really second half of the season. A really cool arc. It seems here that Shoto and Todoroki, Shoto, Bakugo, and Deku are going to be interning with Endeavor, who was moved from being just a lone, hero with kind of support to actually supporting other heroes. So between kind of losing All Might and kind of it really shook his foundation. It shook him as a person. So it really is changing basically how he does everything. And so not only is he focusing on his family and trying to fix, and that'll take a long time to fix the pain and the problems that he caused. Again, it'll take a long time. But he's also trying to apply that to his hero business. And that's kind of what a person of integrity is. I remember reading that, and the root word of integrity is integer, which is a whole number. So to be a whole person. So it's not just like, he has like one face. No, he was really surly and really mean. It's not like he has one face for the heroes and not another face for family like he used to. Now he's trying to be holistic and kind of consistent across the board, and not just like, he can't be All Might, but he's trying to figure out what does this new endeavor, this new #1 hero endeavor look like? Of course, we're also probably going to be dealing into Hawks and kind of what he's been doing with the League of Villains and trying to infiltrate them and figure them out through Dobby, who everyone says is Toya, the oldest child, or one of, I mean, the oldest, second oldest maybe, one of the kids of Endeavor, which probably holds water, or I guess holds fire in this case. So there's a really good chance of that. And it makes me, I'm trying to figure out, and I haven't seen the second movie. I did do a reaction to the first movie, and that got destroyed, in essence, because I had, basically my computer went funky, and, yeah, it kind of screwed me up. But I have yet to do the second movie. I'm gonna wait on that. But I figured, I mean, unless Dobby's changed himself so much, I figured Endeavor would recognize the quirk of one of his kids. So if he really is Toya, don't tell me if he is. I guess we'll have to wait and see. The kind of Christmas episode with Eerie was so stinking cute. I want to plush Eerie so badly. She's so cute. There was concern because she's getting older with that little horn that has to do with like her abilities is getting bigger and bigger. Now, she is getting proper love and treatment and food. And so it makes sense that either as she gets bigger, the horn gets bigger. I think they talked about that too. So, and they did try to figure out maybe a way to copy her quirk to help her learn her quirk. But as we learned from Monoma, that he can't do certain quirks, specifically ones that build power, or build upon something. So, and I don't think he can't do physical quirks either, I'm going to assume, unless, I don't think he's going to touch Ojiro and suddenly have a tail. Or maybe he can, I'm not sure. There's limitations, but he definitely can't do, yeah, basically those kind of quirks. Without further ado, let's dive right in. There's a countdown timer, you can't miss it, of course. Follow along on YouTube, no sound, partial image. Yeah, Lana, let's dive in. Oh, so quiet. Right, and so I was really worried there for a hot second that Hawks really was a baddie. And I was like, no, he's just playing them. Again, and we're getting more flashbacks. But this time there was no, but actually, I like how that was done. He knows exactly what you're doing. He doesn't trust him. Hawks on the phone. And Hawks, I guess, was a prodigy that was also kind of maybe experimented on. We'll see. Of course you can't trace that call. It's a payphone. He's mad. So now that I understand how his powers works, it makes sense that he doesn't flap all the time. Oh, he's sending his feathers out to do stuff. Trying to make it seem like he does. Does Japan still have payphones? Because I don't actually see them anywhere else anymore. Well, yeah, for good reason. You're the #2 hero. It is weird. So it makes, because I realize how his feathers work, it makes it that as he's flapping, he's probably sending his feathers out. Oh, Bastionist, how is he? That's good to know. Oh, is he quirkless now? Oh. Oh no, he was just that damage. Oh, look at those little toys. It's kind of cute. Even at home, he's in like in hero mode. What is he up to? Don't hurt Best Jeanist. I like him. The test. He's probably testing him. I like his eyes. We haven't got an intro yet. It's kind of cool. This is like a serious, really cool episode. He's carrying... He's got something in that bag. Ooh. Oh, this is a cool intro. What is this intro? This is so different. Dang. It's like dark. It's darker. It's way darker, moodier. And it's in English too. Never mind. Switch back to Japanese. So I would use oh, some new villains on there. That's cool. League of Villains and those other people. Maybe not connected. Oh, I like how we're kind of pairing some of them up in a very interesting way. I'm kind of excited for that. See how that plays a role in the season. Dang, this is a big cast this season. The second half of the season. Oh, I like that. All Might to like Endeavor. This is gonna be a really serious, dark second half of the season. Maybe even darker than not last season, but you know what I mean. The season with Night Eye. Oh, they get to go home around the holidays. Nice. Wow, one day. They are really locking down the students. That must be so hard on her mom. Oh, look at mom! Look at mama! Look at her! Look at her! Oh, there's a new year. Oh, she spelled it wrong. Something I noticed is that I can't. Oh, poor mama. Mom. She's very proud of him. Anyway, yeah, she was much younger, much skinnier when she was younger. I was going to say that I have to protect Izuku. Again, so many flashbacks. They're still doing that right now. But I was gonna say, unfortunately, for a while I was able to screen record on Crunchyroll, and that was really great. But I think they updated their like anti-screen recording software, because even though I'm still using the same stuff, I can't screen record, so I have to use a different website, which sucks. But it also means that sometimes the subtitles aren't probably what typically Crunchyroll would do. Or maybe they would, I'm not sure. My favorite intro song is still Make My Story, but these other ones are kind of cool too. Yeah, I think he let that out for her. I think they probably would trust her out. I like this hero. He's so funny. What a weird goofball here. Oh, that voice. Oh, that's the voice that was Hawks putting a voice on. Slide and go. Micro devices in him? He's trying to put him in his place. Who is this guy? Very deep voice, but his hands are very similar to Night Eyes. Interesting. Looking for Endeavor. Did he just switch his personalities? Oh, they just realized. He's so funny. Yeah, he is. He's working on it. And that he just kind of All Might's, you know. Next, I don't know. He's grown so much since then. He has changed. It's taking time though. There's lots he's gotta heal for. Deku's gotten bigger in that sense for sure. Hmm. The current Endeavor up close. Yeah, the current Endeavor up close. See how much. Even though Bakugo, like, he loves All Might, he's so reluctant in a lot of ways, but All Might still does his best to try to be his mentor, kind of from a distance. Oh, he remembers their meeting. Oh, they're like there. That's cool. Oh, could he see that from a distance? They're stealing the glass. Pluto's mouth. What a strange person. Oh wow, halfway point. Oh dang. Okay, let's talk about this song. Okay. So, dang. Okay, so we've gotten a lot right in the beginning, and we still have some of those flashback things going on. But I'm hoping as the rest of the second half of the season moves forward, we get a little bit less and less and less of that. But what we are experiencing is that we're being reminded that in the second half, we're kind of diving immediately into the deep end with Hawks, being a part of this, working with the Hero Association to try to infiltrate the League of Villains, and somehow I guess because Dobby, and maybe even more so than, I won't say twice, but I don't think that's his name, is really in charge of kind of filtering people out. And I'm sure Dobby is way more hesitant with people than some of the other people are. It's also interesting is Dobby is such he's part of the League of Villains, but at the same time he is such a loner. And I don't know, we're just really diving into the deep end. We're gonna be dealing with like the quirk, with the black whip, and how that manifests, because that's just a weird, for me, that was like a sudden weird left turn for me. I was like, whoa, what is this? I think eventually, I don't know. Obviously Bakugo knows the truth. I'm curious to see if Yuraraka will ever find out. She's so observant, she's so smart. She's such a big heart too. She cares so deeply for Deku, and yeah, she totally has a crush on him. But there's also that major respect and that competitiveness too, and she's kind of focused on that, and probably will be for a while. What else is kind of there to say? Oh, I mean, the intro fascinated with me with how the students are paired up in the episode in the intro. So I don't know if that will play a role later on, or if it's just kind of. I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping we'll see some of those pairs. I would love to see Ida and Momo like work together. Of course, we saw our favorite horn couple work to get like paired up, and some other people paired up, which is cool. I kind of wasn't paying attention to like who else was paired up. I'll do again next time. Of course, you see like the seriousness of the teachers, and like there's that generation leadership, and suddenly the students pop up in front of them. So kind of like a passing the gauntlet thing. And again, this is kind of crazy. This is like they're just their first year of high school. So they're 15 years old, and some of them might be 16 already, but basically they're still kids. They are kids, but they've been due to situations. The League of Villains been forced to really kind of dive into the really adult stuff and to the serious stuff, in terms of situations and life and death stuff sooner than a lot of heroes have in the past, which is kind of why. Not only the quirks, but also it's going to be a different breed of heroes sort of coming out of the woodworks, not only with their provisional license, but even after they graduate, because a lot of these other heroes probably became heroes who have kind of subpar quirks, like maybe like Side and Go, because with All Might, everything was so peaceful to a degree. Minor problems, minor villains. But again, with All Might's fall, it kind of was just like, it gave more serious, terrifying villains and the League of Villains' presence gave them kind of like, oh, there's no more All Might, so I can start doing what I want. So of course, and that and we're just seeing, of course, what Japan's going through in terms of crime rates and stuff like that with Endeavor and some of the others, because of course the number. I don't know if the number. I'm guessing it's the number 2. Like the ranking is for the country or not necessarily for the world, but. They have some of the top heroes are in Japan and they're not in other countries. So the question is, what are other countries doing and dealing with in terms of their heroes and their problems? So that's kind of loved about the first movie, and I wish my reaction hadn't. Maybe I'll try to re-react and just to kind of be honest about what I remember and what I don't. I love about the first movie that it took place in America. It took place in a different country. We got to experience some of the other students like Momo. Like it was like a small select Yuraraka to like some of my favorites, all my favorites. I meant that I was surprised though. There, and that really kind of the sweet girl who the scientist's daughter who's quirkless, and kind of I would love to see her again someday. So these are characters I really liked. But we're just kind of experiencing sort of craziness like that glass villain, I guess. I forget where I was going with this, but I'm very excited for the boys, and I'm excited for Endeavor's growth. It's a slow process. He has a lot to make up for, but it's going to take time, and he can't rush the process. Yeah, I think he's trying to in some ways, but there's sincerity to it. And Deku picked up on that again. He's crazy observant like that. But I'm excited for the boys, and we're gonna deal with this. Is gonna be a crazy season. I see the League of Villains. I see a whole new set of clearly villains as well. And I'm curious to see who the guy in the shadows was, because he's also obviously he's a hero, but he's a bit smarmy. He was being observant. He's always scanning, always looking. He's some nut job. Just stole all the glass. Well, not all of it, but a lot of it. Servant from the Stars from the second one. Let's see, a former hero gone villain or what? Oh, that's crazy because it didn't. He's super high up, but also a lot of that glass is thick, so it's there for stability too. I see a hero gone crazy. Enlightened Fallen King. Messenger of Pluto? Who is he throwing that at? Oh, Endeavor. No. Oh, and he's hot enough the glass melts. No, he's nuts, that's why. I like the use of the 3D modeling in the buildings. It's a nice touch. And Hawks. Dang! 4 people is helping him. I think he could have been just fine. Yeah, he would have been fine. The pinch. Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. That kind of that thing with him looking in between his feathers. Maybe back in the day. There's light in your eyes. Oh yeah, as long as he lives. Again, kind of just like with Bakugo we saw, he saved the day with no casualties, no great destruction, no injuries. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bakugo. What is this book about? I actually have been reading books that were written really far back before certain wars or certain stuff, and it's interesting, or even just 50 or 60 years back. It's very interesting to see some of the things previous generations were struggling with. Consequences in the future. Sometimes he's a little thick skulled though. Yeah, he looks very serious there. No, it's not, you idiot. Oh, he has more. And all the heroes across the country. The liberation ideology. What did he hide that book for, Endeavor? And that's the Hero Association telling him that. Oh yeah, he is young. He is, of course he's 22 years old. He's like, there's so much about him that just screams it. Personal responsibility. What did he put in that book for him? Flaming slide kickers. The girl. Yeah, there are a lot of people under him. Easy. He has dispatchers too. Dang. Yeah, they're probably even more busy than before. He's so pretty. I love it. Spoonbill cutting. He's so excited. Mm-hmm. It goes with the time. He's trying to get through his thick skull. He knows something's wrong. He's trying so hard to communicate with him, let him know what's going on. Because they clearly respects him so much. He's highlighting certain phrases. I can't read that. I have no idea what's going on. And there's no translation in front of me. This is interesting, kind of the way that the camera's moving. I think it's a 3D model as well. It is 3D. This is new. Again, some of the creative choices after they got a new director was really cool. The second word. The enemy is the liberation. Interesting. Endeavor is very smart. He does seem so thick-headed sometimes. The Liberation Front? No, oh, there's more stuff. I like when he gets so tired he's like this. Yeah, sometimes it's probably hard to keep your body that straight for that long. Sometimes you just want to let it hang. She's trying to tell him what's going on. It's the Liberation Army. They number over 100. Wow, that's a lot of people. So this is new. In 4 months to action. Something new, something bigger than a League of Villains. Jeez, this is huge. Oh, Oh, what is this little Endeavor toy? So there's the students kind of sitting there, probably talking to their friends about what's, their work study is about. Oh, I just had to make some food. He's such a sweetheart. We have a hawk, a real hawk, and then hawks. A little kid. I wonder if the little kid was Hawks picking up the Endeavor toy. What a sad boy. The intro and the outro for this part of the season, oh, it is Little Hawks. So what's interesting is that for at least Bakugo and Deku, like All Might was their focus, and so was Endeavor's. But for Hawks, I think it was always going to be Endeavor. And Shoto didn't want to be like that at all. Dabi is gonna be dangerous this season. I mean, Dabi is dangerous, but he's gonna be seems like super dangerous this season. And it looks like interesting that we see the boys looking at Hawks and Endeavor kind of looking the other way. Yeah, his new power and deal with that. But his Liberation Army thing is going to be fascinating. Becoming the greatest hero. Some of you may be wondering like why my outfit has changed. Because when I recorded my intro, it was like 6 something and now it's like 10:24. I didn't really get to record this until a little bit closer to the end, after around 9:45. That's kind of what's going on with my life. I don't get to. Things aren't always going to make sense. So there will probably be more than one occasion where I will be dressed as in one way for an intro and dressed very differently at night. I could record the intro at night and I'm recording the episode in the morning or vice versa. So that's why I said things are kind of crazy right now. So I'm going to try to do my best to keep these videos on time. I think in terms of Patreon, what I will do is that those who are on Patreon, you'll figure it out. I'm going to keep the commentary in, all that stuff in. But my computer only has, and I've been buying external hard drives, but I want to keep buying external hard drives. So I have some plans about what I can do for the reactions and stuff like that for Patreon, for BitChute, for YouTube. So I have different plans for that to kind of save space, but also make sure that everybody kind of gets what's good and unique for them. I don't think I'll do Patreon only announcements, unless it's like something for Patreon. But yeah, please go check that out for sure. I would really love and appreciate your support. Not only is the plans to improve the channel in time in terms of technology and stuff. Oh, you know what? Actually, it looks like really not having that backdrop is helping my computer focus on me. So I'm just going to try to do my best to keep my room very clean. Because that backdrop just really wasn't working for me. It's too much work. So anyway, yeah, no more backdrop for now. How are you doing? But yeah, so things are being really crazy and trying to do my best to help my family. So the thing is, that's why I'm focusing on trying to have a few extra days of the week where I'm not at work, where I can focus on getting these videos recorded because I want to be able to support my family, and between getting a lot of hours, sometimes doubles, during the work week, and helping my family, and then also doing this, I'm hoping to be able to help them at least financially, when in addition to physically at times. So that's why sometimes that's why I'm also kind of holding off on doing live action reactions. I'm gonna try to record all my stuff. I think Stargirl's reached the end of its season. Supergirl has a few more episodes left, so I'm gonna try to get those recorded and then put them up on Patreon. And then I'm going to try to figure out a different way to edit them for YouTube. But right now, so that's why I'm focused on anime. Anime is easier for me to repost. Anime is easier for me to put it up without the copyright monsters nipping at my rudder. I'm just keep with the ship and the Kraken kind of thing. Because boy, did they take me out. This was a great episode. This was so cool. A little bit of flashback in the beginning, but not much. Just enough. And also some of it, we got flashback, but we got like, it was very mood inducing, or with the mom, she was talking, so it was new. It wasn't, it saved money in terms of animation, because they are reusing clips, but it was new recorded stuff, so those flashbacks, but at the same time, I'm going to assume that as we go into the more of the meat of the season, we're going to get a little bit, I'm hoping less and less and less. That's my hope. Anyway, what else is there to say? The outro is cool and a little sad, so I think this is definitely going to be a really heavy season. Probably almost as to the equivalence of season 4 with second half with Night Eye. That was really heavy. It felt even more heavy because of just eerie and everything else that was going on with it. We also experienced our first death in the show, at least ones that we this is the first death of a hero. One that we also just got introduced to. And the stakes are clearly getting higher because it's not just about the League of Villains with a handful of villains and some lackeys. This is about some sort of liberation army, and I'm assuming it's a bunch of villains, and looks like it's even some heroes involved as well. So there's a very good chance that that's why he's trying to be so roundabout. But he also trusts Endeavor, and he wants Endeavor to know, because this Hero Association, for some reason, is not telling Endeavor the truth and trying to use Hawks for whatever reason to infiltrate. And that's very suspicious. What else is there to say? I like Hawks a lot. I'm being reminded that he's 22 makes so much sense in terms of his personality and his youth. There is a lot of similarities between someone who's in their early 20s and high schools, but there also is, in funny way, it's just 6 years, but there's also a big gap. There also can be a difference in personality and maturity between a 22-year-old and a 28-year-old, and sometimes there's not, depending on the person. But it is interesting how it's like every 4 to 5 years, you kind of just naturally, the hope is that you naturally mature and grow. But is there anything else to add? No, I'm very tired. It's been a long day physically. I have a long day tomorrow. So I've got a lot to get. I just need to get sleep so I can get up early and get some certain things done so I don't have to worry about them during the day. And get some stuff planned and written up for the day, because it's going to be exhausting. Anyway, is there anything else to add? No, this was a really great episode. I liked it a lot. It was a great follow-up and gave us really a taste of what we're going to be experiencing this season. Obviously we're focusing on the 3 boys. We're focusing on what's going on with Endeavor and such. But at the same time, our hope is that we always have, even though we always have certain people or class we're going to focus on, the others are also pushing themselves and growing. So we're reminded in the first half of the season that, yes, Class A has had to grow certain ways and like leaps and bounds in certain ways because of just what they've experienced. But at the same time, because Class B has been able to stick to the curriculum, they've been able to grow just as much. And they can be a force to be reckoned with. So it's a really cool reminder that not only is there other classes like in Class A, just like with the provisional license exam, we were reminded that, yeah, there's Class 1A, but there's also Class 1B. There's also all these other hero tracks and all these other high schools. And so we're constantly reminded that, yes, we're focusing on Deku. Yes, he's the kind of the heir of All Might and All for One, or One for All. And so, yes, we have Bakugo and Shoto and all of those, but we also have the rest of Class A and Class B and all these other really, really cool heroes. So we can't forget that as well. And, yeah, is there anything else to add? No, that's it. This was a really cool episode. It was really good. It wasn't super action-packed or too insane. It was a perfect introduction to the second half of the season. I liked it a lot. So again, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share with your friends, share with your enemies, and I will see you next time.